But those questions they asked, okay, well, what would happen if that central authority, federal government, then became too big and became too powerful? What are we going to do to guard against that threat? And that's where state rights come into the equation. States being allowed to have their own constitutions and their own authorities to ensure that our federal government does not abuse its power. And lately, we are understanding just how brilliant our founding fathers were, that they were able to foresee that circumstance, to understand that the federal government could grow too big and expansive. I mean, think about the times of COVID, the tyranny of COVID, the federal government saying, you're not allowed to work, you are forced to mask up. Well, you know what? We also want to force you to get this experimental vaccine. And then you saw states that stood up to that and said no. States like Tennessee, where I am very proud to live, and Florida. DeSantis was an absolute hero during that period of COVID tyranny. Well, it seems like once again, the federal government is abusing its power, and this time we're not sure to what end. I want you to take a look at this footage of what's happening at our nation's border. Thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants is what you are looking at, just crossing into the United States. Here is another video. This time, it's just migrant families that are taking over Boston Airport. Take a listen.
Getting a stunning look at the migrant crisis in our state. This piece of video shows dozens of migrants lined up, sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at Logan Airport.
Last week, our camera captured dozens of families sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at Logan. Little ones toddling across the floor and babies. The issue isn't new. Massport officials said migrant families were sleeping in Logan in November, but the numbers are startling. Some estimate more than 100 folks.
So our federal government is paying to transport migrant families in the skies. And by the way, you're paying for it. I'm paying for it. We're all paying for it. Again, why are they doing that? We're not sure. What we are sure of, though, is that they're able to fly without IDs. In fact, we covered this in past episodes, but these migrants are being encouraged to dump their IDs before they cross over into the United States. We have no idea where these people are coming from. So if you're under the delusion that these are just Mexicans looking for a better chance at life, you need to wake up to the facts that that is not the truth anymore. In fact, many of these people are flying from other countries to Mexico because they know that our border is open. Take a look at this video. Absolutely terrifying. This is a migrant that is lacing a threat to Americans when people ask him, who are you? Where are you coming from?
If you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am.
Soon you're going to know who I am. Did that accent sound to you like a Mexican accent? It didn't sound like one to me. The internet sleuthed and tried to determine who exactly that person was because obviously it seems like he is threatening us. It is being speculated that that individual is Mavsum Samadov. Mavsum Samadov leads the Azerbaijan Islamic Party, and they have close ties to Hezbollah. So yes, it is being speculated that at this moment, terrorists, people that hate the United States, are being allowed over the border. And what they're going to do, well, maybe exact revenge. But this doesn't seem to concern the federal government at all. In fact, now that states are starting to say we need to do something about this, the Biden administration is suing those states to stop them. That's what's going on in Texas right now. Just to give you a roundabout number, 6.2 million migrants have illegally crossed into the United States, and obviously Texas is a massive border state. So the governor of Texas ordered for the National Guard to put up razor wire, to install razor wire on the border to stop this influx of migration. Why would the federal government have a problem with that? They did. The Biden DOJ sued them to stop that razor wire from being put up. And then what happened was that lawsuit went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court decided in favor of the Biden administration. They said, nope, you have to take down that razor wire because the feds are saying that they need that stretch of land to remain open. Now, obviously, Texas did not take kindly to that. Hey, we are Texas. We joined the Union in 1845 under the expectation that you would provide us protection from foreign threats. You have now failed when it comes to your side of the deal. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued this official statement regarding the Supreme Court decision and how they would be responding. The federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. The executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce those laws and has even violated them. The result is that he has smashed records for illegal immigration. Despite having been put on notice in a series of letters, one of which I delivered to him by hand, President Biden has ignored Texas's demand that he perform his constitutional duties. Under President Biden's lawless border policies, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in just 3 years. That is more than the population of 33 different states in this country. This illegal refusal to protect the states has inflicted unprecedented harm on the people all across the United States. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and the other visionaries who wrote the U.S. Constitution foresaw that states should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border. That is why the framers included both Article 4, which promises that the federal government shall protect each state against invasion, and Article 1, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. The failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4 has triggered Article 1, Clause 3, which reserves to this state the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Clause 3 to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority as well as state law to secure the Texas border. Wow. So what we have here is Texas is saying, you've abused your power and we are not listening. We are now sending our National Guard to defend the border. What happens next? Is Biden going to send federal agents to shoot Americans on behalf of allowing illegal immigrants to flood into our spaces, into our neighborhoods, into our schools? Seems unlikely, especially since other states are now saying that they stand with Texas. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida tweeted this: "If the Constitution really made states powerless to defend themselves against an invasion, it wouldn't have been ratified in the first place, and Texas would have never joined the Union when it did." Texas is upholding the law while Biden is flouting it. Florida will keep assisting Texas with personnel and assets. And he wasn't the only one. Glenn Youngkin of Virginia tweeted this: "Virginia stands with Texas." Greg Abbott is doing the job Joe Biden and his border czar refused to do to secure our border. The Biden administration has turned every state into a border state. We must stop the flow of fentanyl, save lives, and secure our southern border. Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma tweeted this: simply, "Oklahoma stands with Texas." Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota followed and said, "Governor Abbott is exactly right to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend itself. The Biden administration has created a national security crisis and put Americans in danger. Their failure is an unconstitutional dereliction of duty. South Dakota has been proud to help Governor Abbott's efforts to secure our border." Brian Kemp of Georgia wrote, "Enough is enough. Our southern border is in crisis thanks to the Biden administration's refusal to do their job. Greg Abbott and the state of Texas have our full support." As I said, this is a constitutional crisis that is happening right now, and you need to be aware of it. It will be Biden's move next, but suffice it to say that I stand with Texas. This is exactly what needs to happen. If you are not awake now to the crisis that we are facing at our border, then I hope that listening to this will make you aware of it, because what is happening today is going to impact tomorrow. Our children are not safe. I am being serious when I say that every single person should be learning to defend themselves. We are allowing criminals and we are allowing drugs over the border. And I am not sure, again, why it is that our federal government wants this to happen. This doesn't make sense. This is evil. This is actually evil, what is taking place. And of course, it's not because they're concerned about racism or xenophobia. something much more nefarious is at foot. So pay attention, you guys.